All right, it's 3 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. We have 19 folks on so far. We had approximately 30 register, but we'll see. There may be more that hop on as we go along. So thanks again for joining us for LimeSurvey. And I'm going to turn this over to Hope, who is our resident expert with that.
Hello, everyone. LimeSurvey. I'm going to share my screen here. So LimeSurvey is a survey system similar to like SurveyMonkey. It's a little different, though. Our site is abbreviated as surveys.mo.gov. If you do not have access to LimeSurvey, you will need to put in an IT ticket. When you are accessing or getting access to the LimeSurvey, it would be best if you put Lainey Strange, I think. Yeah, Lainey Strange on there. She is the point person for LimeSurvey. And so when you are getting access, if you don't already, if you put her on there, your ticket will be processed better, more quickly, since she is the owner of this. So when you first go to the site, you'll see a login screen like this. Depending on how they set up your access, you will log in a certain way. When you're first getting into this system, you will have the screen pop up like this. This is your main homepage screen. You can always navigate back to this by clicking up in the top left on the surveys.mo. It's like a little link that'll bring you back to this. It'll always show the last survey you visited and have options like this. When you have created surveys, you will be able to see them with your list of surveys. You'll be able to see, as you can see, I've done several surveys in the system, so which is why we're going over this today. When you're first new, though, and you're coming into this and you want to create a survey, there are a couple different ways you can get to initializing your first survey. The first way is if you're on the home page, you can come up to this little surveys drop down and you can click create, import, or copy. Likewise, you can find those same options if you click the list of surveys. You can click create a new survey here. When you are creating a survey, there are 3 different ways you can create one. Create is making a new one from scratch. So you're going to type all your questions, everything into the system. The second way is importing. If you have a survey structure file, you can import that into the system. The third way is to take a previously created survey and copy it. You may want to do this if you have similar type questions you're going to ask to different groups and you want to phrase them differently. You may want to just copy it over and then edit that version. For today's purposes, I'll show you how to create a new one. So when you're on create a new one, you'll have several initial steps that you can do to set this up. Your first tab is text elements. Here, this is where you will type in your survey title. So I'm going to name it test. Here you can also add in a description. So what is the survey about? You can add a welcome message describing the survey when they are taking the survey, and you can add an end message. So once they've completed the survey, a message to them. The second set is general settings. Here, this is where you can set up who your site administrator is, or your survey administrator is. It defaults to Lainey Strange, the individual we said to request on your IT ticket for access. You can set those. They are set to inherit, so you can turn that off and you can type in your own name if you would like. You can also set up a bound email. So if you sent this to an email address that was typed in correctly, you can take and have that be sent to your email that email survey did not go through. If you have groups set up for your surveys, you can go ahead and add it to a survey group. And then here in format, here is going to be where you decide how you want the survey displayed. So you can have it set question by question, so there's only one question on a screen and they have to click like a next button to get to each question. Group by group, we will set up survey question groups, and so it'll display just that group and then you go to the next group, or all in one. It's defaulted to inherit group by group, but you can select that here. You will also have the ability to change the theme. The default is a fruity theme, so it's like a lime green. There is a DMH theme. So this uses our lovely blue color, and for this purposes, we will select that. The data policy, I usually don't change anything. On the presentation and navigation, you can set some of these defaults of if you wanted to display there are X many questions in the survey, if you want to showcase the welcome message, if you want them to be able to jump back and forth between questions, if you set them up, for example, in terms of one question at a time or by group, show keyboard, and some other features here. If you want to list the survey publicly or use some other method to prevent repeated participation. And if you would like to get notified, so the last section is about getting notified. If you do set yourself up for a notification, it could be used to email you every time someone does the survey. So you can turn those on and off as you go throughout your survey. Once you've set these to exactly what you want them to be set to, you can come up and we'll press save. We've now created the space for our survey. And you'll notice it showcases the name I gave it, test. And if I ever needed to change some of those things, for instance, add a welcome message and end message, those are now going to be under my survey settings. I can go to text elements, and here I can add a welcome message, so I can say welcome to the survey. If I change anything in here, I will have to scroll up and press save for it to save those. So now I can see it says welcome to the survey when I launch this. Now that I have the basic template set up for my survey, I can start working on questions. So if I scroll down, instead of survey settings, I go down to survey menu. There's a list questions. If I go to list questions and add a new question, it won't let me add a new question. This is because you will have to add all your questions to a question group. So first we'll have to set up a question group. So right below list questions is group list. Here we will add a new group. And we can give it a title. So I'm going to call it group 1. From this screen, I can either save and add more question groups, or I can save and add a question, or I can simply save. So if I were to save, notice I am now under a structure setting where it has group 1, and I have the option to add a question over here. If I flip back and I click settings, that brings us back to those survey settings and survey menu. So I can either from the structure page add a question to this group, or from the settings page, I can go to list questions and add a question. Notice it brought me back to the structure page when I went to create a question. When creating a question, you'll always have a code for your question. Now, these are usually auto-generated. You can change the code if you would like to, but there is a code, so when we export or look at the results, we have a code to go with the question we're asking. Here, under the text elements and the question, this is where we will type our question. This is what will be displayed when we're looking at our survey. Now, to determine what type we want this question to be, we will come up here to the top right and we'll look at question type. It defaults to a long free text. What a long free text is, it's just a text box where they can type in a paragraph or a few sentences. If I click on that, I can see what the options are for question types. Single choice answers are going to be answers where you pick one choice. You can have a 5-point bootstrap, something with an image, a drop down, so choose something from the drop down, or a radio. So you'll have these little options. Or you can have that list with a comment box. You can't see it very well, but this is a comment box so that they will select an answer for this question and have the ability to type in something. This can come in handy if you want to, have set values that you're collecting responses from to do quick statistics from, and still want to have the option for them to provide additional information for that related question. Another is our arrays. So when we think of arrays, think of like an Excel matrix where we're going to have values on top and on the side and click through those values. You can set up a default for 5, 10 points, or you can come down and you can select your own columns and row headers. Multiple choice, this is going to be a select all type field, so you can check all that apply. Text questions, this is going to be where you enter in text, so you can have your long free text. If you know it's going to be a short field, you can have a short text. You can even set up a multiple short text, so maybe you have contact information as your title, and then you want their phone number, email, and address. You can put that into one question with the sub-questions that they can answer. You can also ask some other questions related to date and time, equation type, gender, and some other values here under mask questions. For this purpose, I'm going to choose single choice with a comment. And I'm going to press select. When I do that, depending on the question type that I've selected, if I scroll down, I now have different things here at the bottom, different tabs. So because I've selected a question type that requires answer options, I have an answer option tab. Here is where I will add my options. So if I'm asking the question, are you having a good day? I can type in yes as an answer, maybe, and no. If I go up and I save this question, so if I scroll to the top and I save, I can preview how it looks by either previewing the survey, the question group, or the question. If I preview the question, this is how my survey will appear. Are you having a good day? Choose one of the following answers. Notice this is how it will appear, so I can say no, and then I could type in, I woke up late, or maybe yes, and maybe I don't want to answer a comment, I don't have to. So the comment field will be optional. Notice this isn't activated, this doesn't save. So you can always preview and test how things will appear when you're making and creating your survey. If I didn't like those answer options, I didn't like the order, I can scroll back down and I can try to arrange them, I can delete them out. When I'm trying to edit previously made questions, I will have to make sure I am in the question editor mode. Since I had just created this question, I'm still in the question editor mode. If I'm in the question overview mode, it just simply states what the question is. It does not give me the options to edit or delete. So make sure you're in the question editor mode and that once you do make edits, you save. When you're dealing with the answer options, you can use preset default called label sets to do some of your values. So if you're doing education levels, there's already a set of values for education levels, and you can explore more. You can even create your own list if you would like to. So as soon as you have added some values, and you can either add them the way we did or not. If you have some set values, you can save the label set and give it a name. So yes, no, and you confirm it. And then next time you can select those values again. So if you have some unique options that you need to repeat often on surveys, so perhaps it's answering what facility are you from, and you want to go ahead and write all your facilities down, save that as a list. So every time you create a survey, you can just reference back that list. You can do that as well. I changed the answer option, so I'm going to go up to save. Notice here on the structure settings, we now have a question underneath this group. I can roll that up and it'll show one question. I can add more questions from the structure setup and add them. So maybe describe your day, and then I can leave that as a long free text. And I can decide while I'm creating these questions how I want them to appear, reordering them and such. I can even set which ones are going to be mandatory. So mandatory meaning they have to answer before they can submit the survey, and sometimes before they can move on to the next page. I can select from this what group. So if I had multiple groups, I can select that here. If I had other themes set up, I could switch themes. In a more advanced course here, you could set conditions for the question. So a condition would be if you wanted it to only appear once it has once a certain other question has been completed away. So for instance, if yes questions, you can set conditions here. That is a little bit more technical, but that is an option. So if you want to only show questions based off of certain conditions, that is an available option. Here, I'm going to save this. And now I have two questions over here. I can drag them around to determine what order I want them to appear. So now I can go to preview survey, and I can see there are two questions, and I notice that there is a red star next to this because I made it a mandatory question. So I have to answer this question to continue on with submitting the survey. If I go back to the settings page, I can go to overview, and now I will have my same setup when I logged in. I can work on activating the survey if I am ready to go. I've added all my questions in here. I can activate this. Before I activate this, I can also determine how I want to share the survey. So there are two ways you can share the survey. You can either share a link. When you're on the overview page, here is the link to that survey. You can copy it and you can email it to whomever and they can go in and fill the survey. Remember when we were setting up the survey, we had the options to limit how that might appear if I send out a link in terms of trying to prevent repeat survey answer participants. I can also set up a participant table. So if I went down to survey menu, survey participants, that's under the group list, I can create a survey participant table. And when I do this, I will not be able to just send out the URL for the survey to be completed, because when I make this, I will require unique tokens for each individual completing the survey. The benefit to this is I will be able to send the survey out directly from the survey system, and I will be able to send reminders from the survey system as well. So I'm going to initialize the participant table, press continue, and then I have no participants right now. So I'm going to create, so I can either create one participant at a time, and then I can save this, and I can add another participant table, or I can come and I can upload a CSV file. So if I upload a CSV file, it will determine based off of fields I have listed. So when in that field I have it titled a column for first name, a column for last name, and a column for email. I'll press upload. And it noticed a duplicate record. So it noticed I had just added my name, and then my name was also on the CSV file. So it noticed that, and it removed one from the list. So now if I go to browse the participants, I have a whole 387 individuals from this file that I just imported. When I go to send them surveys, I will have to generate access codes for all of those individuals. So if I click generate access code, by clicking yes, I will put an access code for anyone who has not been issued one yet. So if I click yes, okay. So now if I go back to display my participants, they each have an access code listed here. So if I were to send them a link and they were required to put in an access code, I would have that available here. When I send the survey from the system, it automatically puts the link attached to their survey, so they won't have to use this access code at all. When I want to send these invitations out, I come up over to invitation and reminders. I click and I can send an email invitation. This will send it to everyone who hasn't been sent one before. I can send reminders. This will be to everyone who has been sent an invitation but has not responded to the survey yet. If I don't want to send it to everyone, I can send it to one person at a time. So here I can click send invitation and we'll just send it to myself. When I go to send an invitation, it will come up with a screen that will appear in the email that will be sent to them. Notice it has fields like first name, survey link. Those are specific field names that you can change. You can change it each time that you send the link, or under survey menu, you can set up email templates. So if I go over to email templates, I can set up what do I want my descriptions to appear for invitations, for reminders, for confirmations, for registrations if I have that set up, and for some other notifications. So here, this is where you will customize how you want this to display when it's in an email box if you are sending out from the survey system. You'll click, you can change this. So this will be what the email subject is. So survey for, you can add additional fields here. So you can put in last name, and it will appear exactly how you have it listed here. And then you can click save to make any of those changes. Once you have the survey sent out, you've either set up a participant table, you've decided to do it over a link. Before it will actually collect any of your results, you will have to activate the survey. So going back to settings and then set survey settings and overview, once you have it all set up, you've determined your participants, your questions, you have previewed the survey, determined that's how you want it to appear, you click activate the survey. It will give you a warning to read, is this exactly the way you want to set it up? Notice you can't do a few things once you've activated the survey. It's set on some of the like question groups and questions. And then you can save and activate, and you are ready for people to participate. When you are done with the survey, you can click Stop Survey to prevent any more people from responding. Now, I'm going to show an old survey that I've done now. So I'm going to go back to my survey list. I'm going to find my Christmas theme survey. I had sent this out for Christmas theme in 2019. So, and I have my responses already. When I'm ready to view what has come in, I can scroll down to the survey menu, responses, and I can either look at statistics, so I can click statistics and have survey system display those for me. So I can say only look at the ones that were complete. I only had one question in this, but you can click which questions you want to see the statistics from, and then you can say view statistics. And then from this, you'll be able to see 26 were completed, and here were your answer options. If you want to export it to Excel, you can come over to Export, Export Responses, select Microsoft Excel, scroll down, determine if you want to include incomplete responses or not. The range is auto-selected. This is a range of participant tables that I had set up. And then determine how I want it to display. So I'm going to display the full question, not just the question code. Press Export. We'll bring up a menu for me to save. I'll go ahead and say Save. I'll pop up down here. Open this in Excel, and I will be able to see my individual responses. So if you send out a survey and you want to then look at it later or save it and send it to your team, you can do that through Excel. You won't need your response ID and such here. Your questions really start on G. So you can delete that out. And then here are my options that I gave them, and here are the responses that I got it in. So I can create my own pivot from Excel to determine my responses. So that is SurveyLine system, from setting up a survey, entering in your questions, setting up participants, and exporting your results. When you are in the middle of a survey, you can get quick details about how many people have viewed it or participated in it all the way through your survey list. So it looks like for this, 77 people may have clicked on it, but didn't actually click submit. And then this was how many actually did submit. So Heike.
So, oh, sorry about that. So Hope, if folks have questions as they're going through and maybe doing the first survey or something like that, do you mind if they reach out to you if they get stumped?
Sure. I will try my best to help answer your question.
All right, that sounds perfect. Well, I appreciate everyone joining us today. Hope, and thank you very much for giving us that detailed overview. And as mentioned, if you have questions or you get into a LimeSurvey, I'll air quote situation, which I know I have myself, by all means, reach out to Hope, and I'm sure that she can get you on the right track. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, everyone.